All right, I'm just going to try and share my screen here. We're up to 17 people. Recording, got it. All right, just went to 18. Always takes me a second to get going here. Yeah, I'm just actually opening the file before I share it, so I'm not going through everything. February 23. We get this one. Cool. Share screen, share. Go. Everybody see that?
See it.
Perfect. Boy, I think this is the most people we've ever had in here. I feel crowded inside the Zoom meeting. Okay, so welcome to Judge's Corner. I do see some new names on here, so I wanted to kind of go over the whole spiel. This is Judge's Corner. What you do is you can send me images that we display through the Zoom meetings and we critique them. A lot of times people will send me messages with them if they were in competition. I know I got a lot of images this time that said, hey, there was no audio in the competition. So I know we might have a couple scores. We just don't have the actual comments and stuff. I was running the competition, so I'm the bearer of the no volume situation. So I might be able to remember some of the comments. If not, maybe we have a couple judges that were here that might be able to throw some comments in there as well. But we are going to get started with this image here. Yep, this is the images that said we couldn't hear the comments. So me myself, I don't remember this one being in competition, but I will say I like it a lot. I like how you captured the composition in this image. Of course, in beginners group, we've talked about composition last couple meetings, not this this one just yesterday, but the previous two before that. We've talked a lot about composition. So I think compositionally, this window's in a good spot. It makes us feel good about it. Have the leading lines coming down with the shadows and the light. Also, you have leading lines going a couple different directions with the wood grain and tone and beams and panels, but I think it all adds, a good feeling to this. So I like it a lot. On my screen, it looks just a little bit bright, being the light on the wall and the light out the window. I think I'd like to see the light outside the window just a tint darker so you could see a little bit more of the green leaves, and maybe just a little bit darker on the light on the wall. But other than that, I think it's a very nice image. I don't have a score on it, but I probably would have scored this around an 8. Would anybody else like to talk about this image here? Don't have a name on it either, I don't believe. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I am going to go to the next one. Let me see. Yeah, so actually all these images were the three. This one and the next two were all entered from the same creator. So there's no comments. But we're going to go to the next image, and we have this one here. Again, I'm liking the composition, the layout of the image and the elements within the image. I think you, as the creator, picked a good spot to photograph up this stream, having it come in and kind of out to the left I like the slow shutter, a little bit slow shutter, so we have a little bit of movement in the water, a little splatter, splash in the rocks. Again, on my screen, it seems like it's a little bit bright, so it could just be my screen, but having this water right here where the splashes are, a little bit here and a little bit here in the middle is a little bit too bright. And I think by toning the overall image down, even making these trees and leaves just a little bit darker is not going to hurt it. So, overall, not even having to do too much dodging and burning, but just bringing the overall image, down a little bit. So it's a little bit darker. But very nice layout. Love the location. Anybody else?
Yes, we want to know where it's at.
I think a comment that I remember that was made on that image was there was a great sense of movement. I don't totally recall, but I think there was a little something about the color and maybe it was a little bit oversaturated. Not positive that I remember that correctly.
I will say, again, this could just be my screen. The overall image looks a little bit green to me, but this does look like, it could be northeastern territory where you have a lot of moss on all these rocks. So they might actually be green all throughout.
This is from Smoky Mountain.
Oh, Smoky Mountains. So that's right around Tennessee, right? Yeah. So yeah, so this is probably mossy green. Great location. I hope you take me next time.
I'll be there in a week.
Daryl, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Okay, cool. So, Linda, thank you for the comments. I think I was probably dealing with so much brain power on trying to get that audio working. I missed a lot of images that were going through last competition.
I'm old enough that I can't guarantee I'm remembering accurately, but I try.
Yeah, I feel that part too. Okay, so here we go. Another image. I really like the layers in the rocks because you have the changes of kind of the colors, kind of the rock formations, kind of colors, kind of patterns in there. So I think it's almost kind of like patchwork through the rocks. I could be wrong, but it does look like this moon was added. And the only problem is looking through this image, looking at the rocks, looking at the sky, it's a very hazy kind of day, especially with this long lens going all the way across the valley. And then this moon doesn't seem to have any haze in it. So it's almost, you put it in there and it looks like you put it in there versus putting something in there and having it at the same time where it doesn't, stick out so much. That's the only thing I see with this. I like that the shadows on the town there, so it kind of keeps the city lights down a little bit, but I kind of like the little bit of sparkle. Time of day, I don't know if it's the best time of day. We always want to shoot. This is obviously the golden hour, but that time of day is actually kind of flattening all the mountains. Like I said, I do like the patchwork, but it kind of flattened everything out and it's giving an overall orange cast to your mountains. So that golden hour, I don't feel is completely helping you as much as it could on this particular image, but I do like it. Any other comments?
This is an area or an image, a view of the Western Mountains that I am familiar with because I look out my back window and I see it every day. I think there's a lot more available that would, at this time of day, give you much more of a wow factor. The Red Rock area is cut off so that you don't see as much of it as is available. And by getting more of that Red Rock area, you could add a lot more dynamic to the picture.
Right. right. I agree. You know, I know this is a sunrise picture, and you're correct. We're shooting from all the way across the valley out to the Red Rocks. And that's why and also that it's that warm golden hour light, but having that snow yellow, I think maybe if the snow is white, it might help a little bit. It might give you a little more pop to the image. So very good.
I agree about the moon. It doesn't look natural. Maybe if it was, the tone was changed, maybe the moon was toned in orange or salmon to make it match the sky, then it would blend in better. But being white like that, it doesn't quite blend in.
Yeah,
in
maybe
my
if you had a picture of a harvest moon and you put that in there, that might fit the whole outlay a little bit.
This picture was taken about 6:12 in the morning.
Okay.
There's
Yep.
only a few minutes of the time when the sun start rising and the whole mountain turned red. That's what I'm
Yes.
trying to do. While I was waiting for the sun to come up, the moon, that's actually the same moon that I saw that day, except this is on the side, it's an overhead. So I moved the moons over there. I didn't do anything with it. That was in the morning. The moon is more like a whitish, got no lightings on it. It's a setting time. So I moved it over there to give this picture more interest. While I'm sitting there looking at it, and I say, need something in the sky because there's relatively no clouds. So I added the moon to it. But that's what it is.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a great idea. I definitely like the concept, the idea, and what you were going for. I do like that a lot. Cool, perfect. Okay, so we are going to move to the next image. Let me get through this real quick. So this next image, let's go right here. This received a 23 during January's competition. Again, there was no sound, I know. Oh man, I'm going to read that on everybody's page. North Shore, place to die.
Jerome, I'll try and help you out here. I think the comments that I remember of it were there were great colors in the rock. We showed a lot of the geology, but there wasn't much wow in the image.
Okay. I think there are volcanic rocks shown all around the area where I live, the base of Black Mountain. Is this image is at the base of Black Mountain, is what I understand. Black Mountain South and
No, it's off of North Shore Road by Lake Mead.
North Shore Road by Lake Mead. Okay, I was reading both both sentences, and I didn't know which one it was. So okay, very cool. Again, not to compare the two images, but I put these next to each other because they both have a lot of similarities where the light hitting the rocks is kind of flat on both of them. Again, this one looks nice because you have the purple and then kind of the browns and then some reds and then some yellows all moving up in layers. And I like the patchwork effect. But I think the same thing, the lighting isn't the best time of day. Different lighting, different time of day, I think might enhance this a little bit more, I guess is where I'm trying to go with it. Again, this looks like the sky is added to this image. Is that correct?
No, that was the actual sky.
That's the actual sky? Wow. Because I think the lighting looks better on the clouds than it does on the rocks. Just there's more depth in the clouds than there is on the rocks. So I guess just the cloudy part of the day is working for you. I do remember one image talking or one comment talking about this being a little bit oversaturated. I think the rocks are nice. I think the sky might be a little bit oversaturated with the blues, but it's a good patchwork kind of foundation. And I think even if you just did the rocks without the sky, it kind of adds a little bit of a abstract element to it. And I kind of like that. Maybe a little bit more than seeing the sky in there.
Yeah, oversaturating is my biggest weakness. I can't leave that slider alone.
You know, a lot of times, and I kind of do it sometimes as well, because sometimes I'm not saying anybody else is lazy, but I'll be kind of lazy and try and use some plugins. And a lot of times the plugins will either saturate too much or they do too much contrast, which will sometimes act the same way as a saturation. A little bit too much contrast will bring that saturation out. Cool, but I still like it. I'm gonna have to check out North Shore Road out by Lake Mead. All righty, so next image is from, it was in the beginner category. So this was Club Challenge for, I believe Club Challenge was light or lights. And I don't have a score on it, but I think it scored pretty good if I remember. I mean, in the upper numbers anyway. So I like the image. I think it's just kind of a plain, nice image. You do have a little bit of impact because red just automatically adds an impact. It's an impact color, so you have a little bit of that going for you. I think the lighting looks nice and sharp. I probably would have gave a little bit more room on top of the hat and maybe taken a little bit of room from the bottom. Other than that, I mean, I don't think there's a lot you could have done to this unless you start doing a creative route, where if you were doing a zoom kind of with the light streaking in or out, or if you did some creative elements in Photoshop. But other than that, I think it was handled pretty nice. Anybody else like to comment on? I don't have a title, but I know it was lights or light in the Club Challenge.
Do you think the image would have been enhanced or helped a little bit to the right of the foot level? There's a little bit of a blue spot that's coming up on my screen. Is that something that, had that been eliminated, might have helped the image just a little bit?
Yeah, you're talking about right here, correct?
Yep, I am.
Yeah, I see it on my screen, but when I actually print it out, it doesn't print. So I was afraid that was my screen that was bringing that out. Because literally the print does not have that in there. When I print it out, this is actually nice and black, but on my screen, it actually looks kind of noisy and a little bit of light pollution around the light.
I'm getting that same kind of thing.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to the maker to do to try and minimize that? Burning it down?
Yeah, I think this could be a little bit darker, especially in the black areas. I'm pointing with my finger like you guys can see that. Especially, yeah, burning this down here. I think this is okay with the light pollution here, because I think it kind of adds the, vintage element to see that. I know this is in the neon graveyard, I'm guessing. I have not seen this neon light on, so I think it might be something new that they've lighted nowadays, because I know they announce it once in a while. I just haven't seen it, but I really like the light. I like the milk guy. I think this was Anderson. Is that Anderson that was over on North Las Vegas, Anderson Dairy?
Yes, this used to be down on Fremont Street. I wonder if they moved it back to the Boneyard.
Well, it looks like, unless somebody took it before it went to Fremont Street, because yeah, this looks like the old Boneyard. But man, I tell you, I was thinking about that. I was talking to somebody the other day, forget who, but we were talking about some hotels, and I saw some hotels in a movie I was watching, and I'm like, damn it, I wish I went and took more pictures of the hotels downtown. Does everybody know that Fiesta is now gone? Wild West is now gone. They're leveled. They're flat. They're parking lots right now.
Yep.
And there's another one.
Something
Texas.
on level Texas as well.
Oh, I think Texas is gone.
Texas gone.
And Fiesta Rancho. So you got 4 that have been leveled, like in the last.
Wow.
They kept the hockey rink. Yeah, they kept the hockey rink at Fiesta Rancho because they're busy over there. That's the only thing that was still open from the hotel. COVID shut the whole hotel down, but they were still doing ice hockey in there. But yeah, we have 4 hotels in literally the last 3 weeks that have all been flattened. And I'm just,
Wow.
damn it, they're going quick again. Okay, sorry, talking about crazy stuff. Okay, we're gonna move on. Hey, that might be a field trip. Just go down and get some new pictures of some of the hotels. Okay. Next image. This was February electronic animals and pets, and it scored a 23 and it got a red ribbon. Linda, do you by chance remember any of the comments on this? I remember the image.
I think there was an extremely positive comment about the sharpness of it. I personally loved it. I would have given it a much higher score than the 23 had because I like the unusual angle of it. I like the just up close focus, the detail on the fur. I do believe there was some concern that the animal should have had his eye further open, but I'm not exactly sure how you get somebody to cooperate like that.
You actually just sparked a brain twitch in there. I do remember. Yeah, I think there was a comment about not having a spark in the eye or catch light in the eye. Yes, I do remember that now. I am like you, Linda. I really like this image a lot. I think maybe we could have taken off, maybe right here, it looks like this is kind of about the middle of the head. So maybe by taking that off and putting that eye kind of bullseye, which I don't say that a lot, but putting that eye kind of bullseye and then having the horn and the ear kind of offset it and having all this other stuff. I also think this was a great image and probably would have scored higher in an abstract category. Now, is it abstract to the point of, a lot of people think abstract, you shouldn't know what it is, but I don't always feel that way. I think this is a nice abstract of this fur and this horn and everything, all the elements together in this image. So I liked it a lot.
One of the reasons I liked it in the category it was in was because of the textures that you see in the fur on the face and even the little bits of leaves or whatever that's there. Just it shows you where this animal is and what he's been through and what his life is like. I really liked it.
I agree.
I think it's a beautiful image.
And I always talk about this when we talk about judging and categories and all that. It's like, judges all have opinions, so they're not always going to like everything that you like. But this is a great point of view from the creator. I think the creator did an amazing job by looking at this and seeing this, because I've got a lot of pictures of buffalo and I don't have anything like this. And I'm like, wow, hopefully I can remember this next time I go out and I shoot a buffalo. Of course, I don't like to get this close. I don't want to get run over.
Well, and I think one thing we can remind the maker of this image that it can be resubmitted and maybe to experiment with your cropping in a little bit from the left. And since it only got a 23, it still has life.
Yes, it does. Cool. Okay, so we got.
What are the rules on resubmission?
Okay, so as long as it doesn't get a blue ribbon, it can be resubmitted. So it could get a 24, 25, 26. But if another image beats it out of that blue ribbon, like this one only got a red, but even if you scored high enough to get a blue and you only got a red or a lower ribbon or no ribbon, you can resubmit. So that's what Linda's saying is, you could try and crop it a little bit like we're talking about here, see if that helps it. It may not, because next time you might just get different judges altogether, and this might do better as is. So you don't necessarily have to change it, or you could change it, or you could try a different category. So as long as it doesn't get a blue ribbon, it can be put in. But also, you could get 3 judges that don't like it, and it could score worse. That's always a possibility. But I think it'll do good. And I would definitely resubmit it if the maker's on here. Cool. Any more questions? Any comments on this buffalo eye? All right. Oh, I gotta look and see if I have any information on this next one. Oh, here it is. Okay, next image. This was entered also February electronic competition, intermediate still life. This scored a 24. Great score. I mean, I don't remember if it's 3 8s or a 7 8 9. I do remember there was a judge's comment that didn't like all the stuff in the background. I think that stuff in the background actually kind of helps tell the story. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you're a fisherman, this is a fly, but having all those threads and the cutters and stuff in the background, I think actually adds to it. You did a good job of placement where, that stuff in the background is not affecting the area too much. It doesn't break into the fly itself, so you have nice clean edges here all around it. Sometimes a lot of judges don't like things that come straight out of a corner. That could be a deterrent, not necessarily always. And then you have a little bit of dead room here. I was only thinking maybe if we had a little, one of these spools was sitting right here, maybe that would, keep this roundabout, keeping you going in, you come back to the fly, kind of gives you that flow. But actually, I think this is very nice. It's done very well. A little bit shiny here, a little bit shiny here where it looks like it's overexposed, but it looks really good here on the fly with all the feathers right there. So I think this is done very well. Definitely deserved a 24 and a blue ribbon if it got it.
Jerome, if you do crop part of the top out to where you just see a portion of those spools, but they aren't predominant, then I think it helps keep your eye on the fly.
Okay. And that could be, that's having these hot spots up here does kind of deter a little bit away from your main subject. So that's a very good point, Mary. And yet, if you just kind of cover that top part up and you just see the bottom of the spools, that might be a good thing. And maybe even making this a square, it's cut a little bit off this thimble down here and a little bit up here. So it might kind of make it square. And that might be real strong too. Definitely fits the Instagram platform.
I think it would have been better if the colors were what was used in the fly itself.
1 point Stephen made is he would have liked to seen some of these colors here, these browns and these greens up here as well, that kind of relate a little bit more to the fly itself. So good point.
I think one other comment made was possibly the title, and I don't recall what the title was, might have confused the judges a little bit.
I think you're right. I think I remember something about the title being too long or something. That might have been another image. I probably shouldn't even say.
Yeah, I
anything.
don't think it was a long title, but I think it was something that unless you were familiar with tying flies you might have missed.
Yeah. Well, you know, and some people that have never fished or paid attention to fishing might not even know what this is because you don't see the hook, but I know the thimble holds onto the hook itself. So, okay, that is that one. Okay, we are moving on to next image. This image is titled Greta. It's portraiture, and this earned a 26. For me, for posing, I don't like to cut off the hands. I don't like to cut off the hands or the ankles. If you're going to cut off, you know, like this other one's good, this arm here, where you're cutting off in the top section or top section. Same with the legs, you want to cut off at the thighs when you cut off. This kind of truncates her hand and it looks kind of funny. Her having a white shirt also kind of makes her arm look kind of big here. So I'm generally careful about hands and arms being around the face because this here is almost as white as her face. And just for me, not for everybody, you know, I see those things first. So they kind of take away from me. When somebody has a hand, they pose somebody like this, I'm always like, oh, that's terrible because this hand looks so big. You know, if you turn the hand sideways, it looks a lot thinner, especially next to the face. And that's what I like to see as far as the posing. So I start off with bad negative, damn it. But lighting, I kind of like the lighting. You have a 45-degree angle here, you can see, because there's a little bit of the Rembrandt lighting. She's got a little bit of a chubby face, so her cheek kind of pokes out there and catches a little bit of that extra light. When you see something like that, you just need to adjust the light. I was talking to somebody else about portraiture stuff here not too long ago, and the more and more people I shoot these days, the more the girls kind of don't know how to pose. They think they're shooting a music video when you're trying to shoot them pictures. And the difference from posing outside in the daylight to going into a studio like this, the girls have to be really contained and be able to sit there for a second while you adjust your lights, and then they can't move as much because things like that will happen. And it happens to me all the time. I have to slow people down and settle them down. I know. Steven said, yeah, good luck. But everything else, there's a little bit of backlight here. I do like this backlight coming through her hair. I like that the hair is coming down across her body. That's nice. I like that you cropped right here. It makes it a nice, clean look. Jewelry doesn't bother me. The lighting here, I think everything looks pretty good. I would sometimes have, especially girls more than boys, is just have them lick their lips once in a while. It keeps them nice and fresh looking. But that's a lot more about, you know, makeup and her being ready to go, because I know it's a tough thing to do. A lot of portraiture is hard to do, and it's on one hand, it's getting easier because cameras are getting easier, but on the other hand, it's getting harder because everybody thinks they're a model, and you get into this frustration thing. And I'm not saying she's a model or she was trying to be a model, but she might be. And I know how hard it is to shoot people. So I do like the black and white. I think that's a great look for this image. I don't know what the color one looks like, but I definitely like the black and white. So I think that was perfect. As far as models go, I do like having the shoulders. A lot of times have girls show up with straps, and that even makes them look like they're big, you know, football players when they have little dinky straps here, their shoulders are sticking out. So I like how all that was handled. So, okay, that was me babbling. Anybody else want to comment?
Jerome, crop off the full left drop. crop off her left arm and give us an opinion on that.
I can do that. We will just do this real quick. Oh no, there we go. So let's just do. Oh, no, wrong ratio. Oh, hey, how come my things constrain my proportions? Huh? Oh, first ratio? I'm on the wrong ratio?
Then hit clear.
There we go. That's what I was doing wrong. Yep, that was it. Get all excited and start doing things, and then you get all crazy. You talking a little bit more like this, Mary?
Yes.
Oh, no. Yeah, so I would darken that out a little bit, but let's pretend that's not there. Yes. I think that's amazing right there. Good job, Mary. Good look. Good way to look at the picture and see where you need to be. So I think this is a lot nicer than having that arm and that elbow. Cool. All right. Anybody else? I'm going to jump to, oh, got that one over here. There we go. Next one. Okay. This one is titled Look Out Below. This was in photojournalism, and this received a 24. Linda, do you remember any comments on this?
I think the comment was that they didn't like the butt view, the fact that it was from the rear, but that's about the only thing that I remember.
Okay, well, I didn't judge it, but yes, I would have said the same thing. And this did score 24. Unfortunately, it probably wouldn't have scored a 24 if I was judging it. I'm going to jump to the next one real quick, and we're going to come back to this one. This one is called Head First, Photojournalism, and it received a 24. I think this is a great shot. It's an amazing shot. And the main reason is because you're seeing the faces and the fronts of the guys. So I've shot football, not a lot, but I know how hard it is, because if you're at one end of the field, they're all going away from you one half hour, and the next half hour, they're all coming back towards you. And that's where you need to be shooting. It kind of reminds me of, I was in Africa and we did a trip, and it's like, I didn't see a lot of rhinos, but every time I saw a rhino, I took a couple pictures because I wanted pictures of a rhino. But literally, I think I have like 800 pictures of a rhino's butt, and I might have 1 or 2 of his head. But, you know, in my defense, I have pictures of a rhino. So I know this is a bad analogy, but I understand trying to get something good. And, you know, especially digital these days, you just keep shooting until you get something. And if you're not shooting, or you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what your sport is, you're not going to get this. So I think this is great. This probably could have easily scored higher than a 24, even though it got a 24. I'm going to go back to the other one for a minute. And yes, I agree. There's good action here. You know, the color's good. I like all the guys in the back, except for the one guy looking up at the scoreboard or something. Everybody's watching the play. So that's good interaction throughout the image. Yes, but not seeing their faces and not being able to, you know, have that connection with the action, you don't have as strong a feeling as you do with this one here. That's only my opinion. Would anybody else like to comment on either one of these?
Go back to the other one.
Yes.
And if you were to crop out, and I realize you're going to have players in the background, but my eye keeps going to the guy in the orange shirt that's turned completely away from the action that's going on.
I know. Yeah, I think it's a security guard, Steven said.
Okay, but
Yeah.
that's where I go. I
And-
look at
and-
them and then I go to him and it's like, what is he doing there? He's not doing much. He's, not paying attention to what's going on in the field at all. So
Yeah,
if you were to crop down, of course, you're still gonna get part of him, the orange shirt in there, so that doesn't help either, so.
yeah. Well, I mean, you could take him out. Of course, then it doesn't fit photojournalism.
Photojournalism,
This is
yes.
what we talked about in beginners group. You can't
Yep.
alter the truth. The truth of this image has this, orange shirt guy, we'll call him. So he's kind of ruining a lot of your pictures. And again, I know, some sports, football, NASCAR, it's not as easy to move 10 steps over left or right to get something like that out of the way. And again, you got to keep shooting. You got to keep doing this. But I know you're trying to, you can't crop down here because then we cut his head out.
Yep,
So I know it's one of those things that there's a lot of potentially great things going on in this image, but it turns out that it's not the best image out of what we have. And well, obviously this looks like a different game, but like, this is so incredible. Like, to catch that guy, I mean, he's almost doing a headstand, literally a headstand.
And I love the flying player coming in after him on the left-hand
That's
side.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Very good stuff. Well, that is all I have for today. So unless anybody wants to see anything that we talked about, or anybody had any comments on the images we had, we had 10 today. So that was good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for sending stuff. I was trying to pull out a couple of mine and somebody called up and said, "Hey, do you need a couple images?" I said, "Absolutely. Send them on in." So always good to have these.
Thank you, Jerome.
You're
thank you,
welcome.
Jerome.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. What did we end up with, Steve? There was like about almost 20 people in there for a while. 20, right? At 20.
It was 22 earlier.
Yeah,
Nice. All right. Super, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerome.
Good
Night
night.
all.